All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto
Yahawah,
Yahawah,
Bahashem,
Yahawashi,
Yahawashi,
Bahashem
Bahashem,
Harakakadash.
Harakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders and teachers at Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Brother Hawashai Zion, the brother.
Brother Kassad, Shalom.
Yep, he's coming through just to do this live lesson and live camp and whatnot because it's egregious and cold outside, really extremely cold. So we're just gonna do what we do, the right way right now. So we're gonna go into some topics. One being the name of the Lord, which is basically everywhere you go, everybody thinks it's Jesus. You know what I mean? But the name of the Lord is not Jesus, and the name of the Lord Yahawah is not Jehovah, and it's not Lord or God. So these are misconceptions that typically when we go out and we teach the scriptures, these are the things we talk about. Especially not the fact that the Lord doesn't dwell in temples made with hands. And people are always going to churches when they don't realize the concept of church and what the church really is. All right, which means called out ones, ecclesia. So we're going to go into some definitions. We're going to edify. And I got this brand new Bible. I want all y'all to get this one right here, man. This is the red Bible that the apostles always talk about. This red Bible here, I got in amazing condition. This one's the best condition I ever seen in my life. Ever. I bought like at least 6 of these, I think, or 4 or 5, at least I think 5 of them. This is my 5th one I bought. I think I bought one for the brother Kassad as well. So this one right here, this is what you want to Google this phrase, brothers. All right. Google that phrase right there. If you can see it. All right. Screenshot that right there and Google that phrase. The Holy Bible containing the Hebrew and Greek scriptures. Okay. And it says translated out of the original tongues and with the former translations, diligently compared and revised. All right. So why is that important? It says the text conformable to that of the edition of 1611, commonly known as the Authorized or King James Version. So part of that King James Version, what was taken out was this here, the Apocrypha. All right. Now the Apocrypha also, if you notice the writing on the top of that Apocrypha, it says Authorized King James Version. Now the reason why that's relevant is because in the original 1611 Bible, it was included in there. All right. And I'm actually going to grab it real quick, brother. So if you want to get some scriptures on the name of the Lord and different things like that, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab it.
God. Yeah, because the name of the Lord, man, is honestly, it's one of those things that people tend to dismiss. But it's a place where, the righteous are actually able to call upon his name in a time of trouble. Get there, the name of the Lord. Strong tower. Get that real quick. Strong tower. All right, this is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. It says, the name of the Lord Yahawah is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. When you call upon the name of the Lord in faith, it allows you to be able to, the Lord hears your prayers and he hears you. And if you're in a good state with him, he's going to listen and try to solve those issues that you may want to try to have resolved. You got it, brother? So the brother was just showing you, brothers, the 1611 King James Bible.
Yeah, exactly, man. Because, ultimately, this is part of the name of the Lord, the original Authorized King James Version Bible, this 1611. Now, this is a collector's edition, 400th anniversary collector's edition. All right. So this one was actually, I believe it was 2011 that it was printed. So I ended up getting one or whatever in flawless condition from this person. And yeah, man, this is official, man. This Thomas Nelson is the publisher. And if you could grab one up, you can. But it contains this authorized, which is part of the name of the Lord. Like we're saying, the name of the Lord ultimately is, look at this guy. Enoch isn't false. Yes, it is false. First off, you're interrupting our live stream. Number two, all right, you're supposed to be quiet when you come to the house of the Lord. All right. Number three is Enoch said that Noah was an albino, which he wasn't, because the men of the Lord were not albino. And also Esau never fought with Nimrod, like Enoch says in that book. So you're false, and you don't know what you're talking about. That's research, all right? You don't know what you're talking about, son. That's why you about to get deleted. Delete this guy out of here. I'll get this clown out of here, man.
Well, back to that, the word name, because when you talk about the name of the Lord, it's to all the righteousness that it stands for, including the truth and the doctrine. Now, that guy, that demon that just came up there, he does not represent the Lord because he's bringing up fallacies.
Right. He that guy right there is a clear example of what the name of the Lord is not. All right. He's a proponent to it. He's a demon, or an opponent, should I say? He's an opponent. Excuse me. So that guy right there saying that Enoch is a Bible. First off, the literary style of Enoch is not the same. The literary style in which that the words were written is from a style hundreds of years past the time when he was alive. You need to do your research. You're a clown.
You're a crumb bum.
You're a crumb bum like Esau, liar. You're a liar, and the truth is not in you. If you think that Enoch is a book in the Bible, you got rocks in your head. All right? Because Nimrod was already dead hundreds of years before Esau even came on the scene. That's an error and a lie, a literal actual lie, son.
That's crazy. That's like
actual lie in the scriptures.
Yeah, can you say that again, brother?
Which one?
What it said, you said Nimrod fought with Esau, who?
Yeah, they said that Esau had a fight with Nimrod in the book of Enoch. Clearly, that's not biblical, bro.
That's like saying George Washington fought with Osama bin Laden, yo. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, it's like President Obama sent rockets on ancient Rome. Bro, you dumbass nigga. You dumbass, goofy ass nigga. They didn't live in the same time period.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, that's why these stupid ass people, man. You know, I'm not gonna even entertain that junk. You see how ultimately their purpose was to try to disrupt the word of the Lord, which they did, but there's a judgment for that.
He's a devil, adverse to the scriptures.
So back to what we were really saying is this authorized 1611 version of the scriptures. This does contain the original. This is what the reason why it's authorized is these are the scriptures that King James commissioned the company of 70 scholars that went out there, did their thing, and diligently compared the scriptures to translate them out of the original tongues masterfully. Okay. So yeah, this is really, really powerful, man. Look at James. It says, to the most high and mighty Prince James, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith. The translators of the Bible would wish mercy, grace, and peace through Yahawashi Hamashiach, our Lord. All right. So yeah.
All right, back to the word name, man. It goes back to I'm gonna pull it up. In etymology, it says that the word name. Oh, let's go to the blue letter, Salaki. The blue letter, the word in Hebrew is H8034, and it reads, in terms of the definition, it says the honor, the authority, and the renown and report. So when you come in the name of the Lord, you're coming in the honor and all the righteousness that the Lord stands for. You are a representative of the word of the Heavenly Father, Yahawah Ba'Hashem Yahawashi, the name of his only begotten Son. So when you do that, you can't be coming up with fallacies. You have to represent the truth, because if you misinterpret the message, you can be rebuked. You could be rebuked, number one, and number two, you could actually be destroyed for that. So you Christians out there, you're misappropriating what the Lord's book is about.
Right, because one, the Lord didn't come to save everybody, and that guy Bryce Bryce Mitchell, Bryce Johnson, whatever your name is. What's his name? Bryce Anderson or something? Some
I'll
typical
find it.
Crawford. Bryce Crawford. Bryce Crawford, that devil Christian, which he's an Edomite. I know the elder was saying he could be a Jake. He could be, but no, I don't think so. You know, he was using the word, which I was a little bugged out. He was actually using the word of the Lord, but that's because he's standing on that Christian doctrine that basically takes one scripture and stands on it with nothing else. No other. That's the reason why these people are so bugged out. Brother, go to Isaiah 28 and 9 and 10. Because the way that they are looking at the scriptures is not the way that the Lord said to examine the scriptures. That's why these people can't figure this out. It's the Holy Spirit that guides you to understand. That's part of the name of the Lord that we're magnifying now.
All right, this is Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9. It says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little.
Exactly. That's how the word of the Lord is interpreted. All right. That's exactly how the word of the Lord is interpreted. And then, you know, what that jackass didn't understand who posted a comment talking about Enoch is a book in the Bible, is a proper Bible word or book. Actually do your research or some shit like that. You know, a lot of people who have not done their research love to say, do your research. Well, I did my research. It's actually something right here called a Bible dictionary. And when you look at it, it's very simple and plain to understand. Nimrod did not have a fight with Esau because they lived in two different time periods. And I'm going to explain right now. Nimrod, Ham's grandson and son of Cush, a skilled hunter and warrior. He became a powerful king and empire builder in Babylonia or Shinar. Genesis 10, 8 through 12. Okay. Then you go years and years and years and generations later, you're going to have the birth of Esau after Nimrod was dead. Okay. So didn't live in the same time period. That's like Muhammad Ali fighting Jake Paul. Yeah, man. Jake Paul fought Muhammad Ali. No, he did not, dude. No, he did not. Jake Paul was a little child. Or, you know, we were just
No, he wasn't even born.
Yeah, he wasn't even born. He wasn't even fighting. When the guy was fighting, it wasn't even born yet. So that's impossible. You know what I mean? How could he have fought him? It's the same shit. You know what I mean? And it doesn't give time periods, but I could go into it if we have to. And since that devil wanted to bring it up, you know, we could debunk your bogus bullshit. But ultimately, back to the name of the Lord. You know, the name represents what it represents. Everything all encompassing of the word of the Lord and the style of the Lord, what the Lord represents. Righteousness, the word of the Lord, that's what we preach. And part of that is in this 1611 King James Bible. So I do encourage you brothers to go ahead and buy this again. Like I said, 1611 King James Version Bible. If you get the 400th anniversary edition, it's nice and shiny and nice. And you want to get one of these too, man. This is a Watchtower Bible, but you want to, like I said, you Google this. I'm going to show it one last time, man, and not again. Most likely. The original in Hebrew, the Holy Bible containing the Hebrew and Greek scriptures translated out of the original tongues. If you Google that phrase or put it on eBay, you'll find a bunch of people that sell it. Now, for those people that really want to learn, you're going to go get one, man. You could get one for $50. I got this for $50. It just so happened to be in the greatest condition of all time. You know what I mean? Which I'm grateful for. You know, call Yahawashi, Yahawashi. I did see that it looked marvelous. And I was like, yeah, that shine. You can see the sheen on it. I was like, I need that. That looks perfect. And it is. The brother's seen it too.
Let me read that scripture again, brother. This is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. It says, the name of the Lord Yahawah is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So, like, you know, the brother was saying earlier how the word of the Lord is a part of that. because the word of the Lord, the law of the Lord Yahawah is perfect, converting the soul. And when it says it's a strong tower, it's a place of fortitude and a place of safety. And it allows us to be able to escape the calamities of the world. I got a precept to that. It says Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 6. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord Yahawah of our righteousness. So when we are obedient to the word of the Lord, that's going to allow us to be able to escape the evil day, because there's going to be a time of trouble that's going to come upon the whole earth, but specifically targeting you Israelites, you tribes. That's going to be Jacob's trouble, especially in the last day.
Yeah, and I also want to say that the Apocrypha is absolutely a part of this writings, because the way it starts off is the scriptures in this King James Version 1611 Bible, it contains the Apocrypha. Now, when the Apocrypha starts, it goes the book of Esther. Let me go. So, excuse me. Let me go back. It says, so it goes Zechariah. Then it goes the book of Baruch. Oh, wait, excuse me. Let me keep going. Zechariah, Malachi, first Esdras, okay, and second Esdras.
Tobit, Judith.
Yep. Tobit, Judith. Yep. You got them listed. Yep. And then Ecclesiasticus. Okay. First Maccabees, second Maccabees. Now, guess what? That's all in line with the transference of the kingdoms leading up to the Roman Empire. It makes perfect sense for the Apocrypha to be in there. Because Daniel talked about, let's go to Daniel 7. Daniel 7 talks about those kingdoms and how they're going from Babylon to Persian, Medo-Persian, and then to the Grecian Empire, which is talked about in the Apocrypha. That's the missing link that talks about why the Jews were calling themselves Gentiles or Greeks by force of law from Ptolemy. It was a decree from Ptolemy. It's in the Apocrypha. That will show you that the people right now who will call themselves Greeks, a lot of those people in Greece, they're Israelites. A lot of them. There was a lot of Israelites in Greece. And in Italy, a lot of them, man. Around Rome and everything, that's a port city. It was like America, modern day America, like New York. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of people there. There's going to be a lot of Israelites. There's going to be a lot of heathens too. There's going to be a lot of Israelites. And they were calling all of themselves Greeks by force of law, and that's contained in the Apocrypha. So yeah, that's part of the Holy Scriptures.
Yeah, by threat of death.
Yep.
You want to get that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, come. Gotcha. This is. There we go. This is Maccabees, 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 8, and it reads, moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Yeah.
Right? So to conform yourself is to make yourself like unto, whatever, to immerse yourself into the culture of the people around you. But the scriptures, the Lord said in Isaiah 10:1, he said, be not, it says, no, Salaki is talking about in Romans chapter 12. It says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye renewed transformed by the renewing of your mind. Let me get it out. That's in the scripture.
Yeah, Romans 12:1.
Romans 12:1. And it says, go ye not in the way of the heathen in Isaiah 10:1. So that's the same manner of principle. But this is Romans chapter 12, verse 2.
I
It says,
beseech you,
and
therefore,
be not
brethren.
conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. And it's not to conform your ways into the ways of the Gentiles and to do those things that are not seen as right in the sight of the Lord.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And that's the reason why they were calling each other Greeks. And that's the other reason why they ultimately conformed to the fact that, the Lord's name, they called him Jesus. They changed the name to Jesus, and certain people just went with it. But look, you guys knowing the name of the Lord is not Jesus, you shouldn't be calling him Jesus. Just like that damn IUIC, man. All right, IUIC just still calls him Jesus, even though they know damn well that's not his name. Who's the king? Christ. No, it's not Christ. That is not the king.
No.
Christ is not the king. All right. Jesus is not the way. Okay. Yahawashi is. And that's that bullshit, man. And anybody that says it doesn't matter, well, then your name spelling and your pronunciation and your actual language and origin doesn't matter either. All right. Well, we don't care nothing about you either. So would that matter to you? Of course it would. Where you were born, who you were born from, what your actual name was, that doesn't matter. Hypocrite, man. Get caught out. The people are a bunch of hypocrites, man.
Yeah, because the Lord's name is Yahawah, which means he is, he exists. And the Lord's only begotten son's name is Yahawashi, which means he is the deliverer, which Jesus doesn't have any significant name. It's an English word. So if you're coming in the name of Jesus, that is a created spirit. That's in the spirit of that's an idol. You're coming in the name of Jesus, Jesus Christ. The Lord never heard people call him that in his day because that was not his name. His name was Yahawashi.
Yeah, it's a straight up devil.
Straight up devil. Hebrew sound. Okay. This is Acts chapter 21, verse 40. And it reads, it says, and when he had given him license, Paul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew tongue, saying, all right, so this is Paul's defense for the Jews. It says, men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence. And he saith, because why were they keeping silent? Because it's more powerful in the Hebrew tongue. Because when you're delivering a message in the Hebrew tongue, that goes back to our origins as a people, because it carries a lot more power than an English word. That's why, that's why we do that.
So you said go back to the origins, like the good way, you mean? The old path? Here's a scripture. This is Ephesians 4:23, which is also a precept to Romans 2:12 and 2, I believe it is. Yep. Which says, to be not conformed to the ways of this world. So this is Ephesians 4:23. It says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Re again meaning back. And that ye put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness. So what does that mean? That means ultimately to be set apart from the world, who everybody in the world calls the name Jesus Christ.
No.
Even old grandmas, old white ladies call on Jesus Christ. All right? Edomites. Edomites call on Jesus. Gay people call on Jesus. Lesbians call on Jesus. Transformers call on Jesus. But they don't call on Yahawashi. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When you seen a gay person call on the name of Yahawashi? When? I ain't seen it.
Me neither.
I ain't seen no transformers calling on the name of Yahawashi. Because it's true holiness. It's true righteousness.
That's what it stands for.
It's the path less traveled, man. Not a lot of people gonna call on that. But if you look at the world, you did a thing about that. The greatest and biggest religion today on record is Christianity.
Mm.
So that's not the way of the Lord, okay? Because the Lord said, broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be that go therein, right?
Yep, yep.
And then narrow was the gate that leadeth to life, and few there be that find it. There's only a few people out of the many that truly call on the name of Yahawashi in true righteousness and in holiness. Because holiness simply means separation from other ideals and philosophies and different things of the world. We're not going to be celebrating the Chinese New Year when we're Israelites. Are you out of your mind? Do you think we're going to be celebrating Saturnalia? The what they call, what you call it, Christmas?
Yep.
You think we're going to be doing that shit? No. Think we're going to be celebrating what? Ishtar?
Yep, the Feast of
Easter?
Bacchus.
Or the Feast of Bacchus on the New Year's, the winter solstice of the Edomites? You think we're going to go do that? No, that's true righteousness and holiness. Now, the Israelites don't do that, who claim to be Israelites today, right?
Christians do.
The Christians do. The Christians do. Go into any church right now and say, hey, Merry Christmas. You know what they're going to say back to you?
Merry Christmas to you too, brother.
Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. Christ was born. Jesus Christ. And there will always be a photo of a white boy up in there. A devil, all right? A demon called Cesare Borgia. Do me a favor, look up Cesare Borgia if you can, and give a little insight to him and his false image that ultimately they, covered up the faces of the judges thereof of the world, all right? They put them up, their own images, like Cesare Borgia, and called him Jesus Christ. That's a mockery. They changed his name and changed his image. It's a straight up mockery. And that's part of the name of the Lord that we need to magnify, which is what the Lord represents. The scriptures say that he was a woolly-haired black man. And it is relevant because the scriptures are relevant. The Lord said, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. So when you're reading this book, you are reading the Lord's word. That's Cesare Borgia. Does that look familiar? Does that face right there of that god dang devil? God dang devil.
About to break my phone, man.
That god dang devil. That's the damn devil right there. All right? Does that look familiar? Let's do a breakdown on who this guy really is. All right? He was selected as a pap. You think the papal of Rome is true Israelites? Think again. All right? You think those wars and everything, and you know that those people were sending assassins to kill King James? To kill James so that he didn't produce this outstanding literary translation? This literary work of genius right here? This was literally a masterpiece, man. They had a company of 70 scholars. And then they had people to go and translate the Apocrypha as well. All right? There was people to go and translate this portion of it, man. And then they're going to say, oh, it's not canonical. That's not canonical. Canonical just means accepted. It's not accepted with you. You know what I mean? Look at this guy. How dare you?
Somebody said, how dare you?
Bro, that's funny as hell. Well, you're the devil, Cesare. We caught you. We caught you, Esau. You know what's funny? That's probably an Israelite from another camp just trying to mess with us, bro. It's mad funny. That's funny, man. So yeah, Cesare Borgia is absolutely a demon, and he's a homosexual. So they basically, put the image of him up when we know that the Lord don't look like that. So I want you to hold that image up again real quick. And then let's get the revealing of the Lord Yahawashi Hamashiach from St. John. All right.
Mm-hmm.
St. John the Divine, they call him. This is Revelation 1, And it's not the book of Revelations either. It's Revelation. Okay. The book of Revelation 1 and 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed. You got that picture? Hold that picture up.
Yep.
Hold that picture up to the camera. All right. Make sure they can see it. Right there. Right there. Just keep it right there. So tell me this ain't a false picture. It says Revelation 1 and 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So that's a lie. Right there, that one that you see, that picture right there is a lie. As white as snow. That's another lie. This is not, it doesn't say that. It doesn't show that, rather. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. That doesn't show that either. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters. So that's complete false image right there. See that false image of Cesare Borgia? False image. That's what we're here to debunk. All right? That's part of the name of the Lord. It's what the Lord looks like. It's just part of it.
Mm.
And it is a big deal because they made it a big deal. That's why it's a big deal.
You're falsifying the word of God, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big deal. Now, in essence, no, it's not a big deal. Right? It's not. But you're making it a big deal because you always got to keep on putting an image out there. The way the Lord looked is in pertaining to the scriptures. The Lord said, judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So his look, remember, there was no beauty that we should desire him. So the Lord didn't make him a look. That's the reason why we followed him. We follow. That's why I mean it's not important in that respect. But it is very important because people keep bringing it up. And they always show this damn photo right there. You could drop it down, brother. They show that unrighteous photo all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not what he looks like. So yeah, that is part of the totality of it, man. So again, they had people that part of the name of the Lord was the fact that the Israelites were being called Greeks, okay? And they were living out there in that century or whatnot. The 1st and 2nd century BC. And that was a big deal. They were forced to be called Greeks. And that's contained in the 1611 King James Holy Bible. So when people say, well, what Bible are you preaching out of? What Bible is that you guys are teaching out of? It's the Holy Bible. It's the authorized King James Version Bible. When we say authorized, that means that's what King James said is accepted. These are accepted literary works. That is the Holy Scriptures. It's part of the doctrine. So he's definitely a man of the Lord, and he's definitely an Israelite.
Mm.
King James is an Israelite.
God.
And again, it goes from Daniel to Zechariah, which is part of the time periods in the Babylonian Empire, to the Persian Empire, and Esther, all right, and the Persian empires, all the way to the Grecian Empire, Second Esdras, and then it goes over to, Second Maccabees, First Maccabees, telling about Alexander and what happened with Alexander. That needed to be recorded because it fulfills prophecy,
Because it doesn't make sense because the Chronicles and the Book of Kings is a part of the history as well. What scriptures all the other kings and all the other kingdoms were actually documented in the scriptures in the Old Testament. Cyrus is recognized in Isaiah. It's also recognized in Daniel. He's also talked about. Is he talked about later? No. You also have the Babylonian kingdom is talked about, and you talk about in the New Testament. All throughout the New Testament, the Roman kingdom is talked about. Where is the Grecian kingdom? Where is that talked about? So if the history of Daniel's prophecy is referenced, is in Daniel 7, right?
Well, it's in there, but I'm saying it's nowhere mentioned inside, in between the time period. It just goes Babylonian in the scriptures with the 66 books that they give you. Say they only give you this. They give you this and they say, here,
right.
Here's the Bible. Read the Bible. But you're like, wait a minute. People now, what we understand, that's not just the Bible. That's not the Bible. The collection of books is this one, the 1611. Ultimately, meaning it contains the authorized version, which is the Apocrypha, the King James Version included in it. All right. So the reason why this is prevalent is that it's part of the scriptures. You can't go from the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire. Let's skip over the whole Grecian Empire and Alexander conquering the whole known world. Let's skip over that. It's irrelevant. And then, let's just go straight to, Jesus and as they call him. Let's go straight to Jesus, straight to the Roman Empire and his birth.
Doesn't make any sense.
Emphasize that. Matter of fact, let's throw out the whole Old Testament, create a doctrine where it's all about Jesus, and whoever believes they're saved don't even need to follow the law. Anybody can receive it.
Well, they do have books where they have only the New Testament, the Proverbs, and the Psalms. They do have those books printed out, and they're in Catholic churches.
And they're also in dollar stores. They got little dollar store New Testaments. You cannot understand the scriptures with the New Testament only. I'm sorry, but not sorry. You just can't. All right. So you could go into Cesare Borgia if you would like, if you got some research on it.
Let's see that. I got the Wikipedia pulled up.
All right.
All right. So this is
that could be altered though, but
yeah, it doesn't look like it's very
it's not the best source.
Doesn't reveal much.
Look at Britannica.com. Because that can't be altered at all. See, you could go into Wikipedia and you can change Cesare Borgia. So I got Britannica.com here. It says Cesare Borgia, born 1475, probably Rome. It says Italy, died 1507. And remember, this is around that Renaissance period. Okay, was the natural son of Pope Alexander VI. He was a Renaissance captain who, as holder of the offices of the Duke of Romagna and Captain General of the armies of the church, enhanced the political power of his father's papacy and tried to establish his own principality in central Italy. All right. And it says here, Niccolo Machiavelli says his policies led Niccolo Machiavelli to cite him as an example of the new prince. All right. And you could even go, so this guy was ultimately, again, he had control of the armies and everything. And I want to go to his rise to power. The election of his father as Pope in 1492 changed the fortunes of Cesare Borgia. Besides becoming an archbishop, which there's no title of that in the scriptures, he was also made a cardinal, which is, again, not mentioned in the scriptures, in 1493. With the titular church of Santa Maria Nova, he was now one of his father's principal advisors. It was already clear, however, that he did not have a true religious vocation. He was better known at the papal court for his hunting parties, his amorous liaisons, and his magnificent clothes than for the meticulous observance of his ecclesiastical duties. So the guy was just chilling, basically riding on his high horse, not even following the scriptures. He was just a brute force general commander guy. And he was a homosexual as well.
What's crazy is that, what happened in 1492? Well, that's when Columbus came to the Americas.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, surprise, surprise. And it says, on the death of Pedro Luis in 1488, the title of Duke of Gandia had bypassed him and gone to his younger brother Juan. he who was made commander of the papal army in 1496 for the first of Alexander's campaigns against his rebellious nobility. Cesare was reputed to have been extremely jealous of his brother. Sounds perfect, just like Esau. And when Juan was mysteriously murdered in 1497, the rumor gradually spread that Cesare was the culprit.
Oh,
There is, however, no evidence that Cesare murdered his brother, who had many other enemies, beyond the fact that he was certainly capable of murder, as he subsequently proved.
you can go farther down. It gets really crazy down. If I may, same
Go
article.
ahead. Take it over. Yep.
Yep. This is a little farther down in the Britannica. It says the activities of Alexander.
Hold on. When you say the Britannica, you got to be specific again for people who are just tuning in.
Yep. So we're looking at the Britannica of Cesare Borgia.
Britannica.com. Yeah.
Britannica.com.
Which cannot be altered, by the way.
Nope.
Right?
All right. And it's talking about Cesare Borgia. It says the activities of Alexander and Cesare, although they conformed very much to a pattern established by earlier 15th century popes, aroused immense opposition within the papal states and from the other Italian states. The propaganda war waged against them was vitriolic, which means filled with like a lot of malice, and lastingly effective. Cesare was portrayed as a monster of lust and cruelty who gained an unnatural ascendancy over his father after having supposedly killed his brother, the favorite son, Juan. Yeah, it seems likely, however, that the two Borgias worked very much in harmony. That's probably not true. It says Alexander was by far the more astute politician, and Cesare was the more ruthless man of action. Ambitious and arrogant, he was determined to establish himself as an Italian prince before his father died and left him deprived of the political and financial support of the papacy. It says a little bit farther down, it says a number of political assassinations have been attributed to him, but the crime of which he was most clearly the author was the murder in August 1500 of his brother-in-law Alfonso, Duke of Bessegeli, the second husband of Lucrezia. It seems likely that this was an act of personal vengeance rather than a politically motivated assassination, but it contributed greatly to the fear and loathing in which Cesare was held. So this guy is a demon, and he was held in high regard in regards to his malice and evil, and he was very feared.
There's another devil called Walter Solomon. So there was a guy, Warner Salmon was a damn demon in 1940, an Edomite, an American painter. And he sought to paint the Lord's image to make it look like this devil right here. Look like this, you know what? All right. That's all from him. See that there?
Mm-hmm.
That's the image that this guy circulated over to the head of so-called Christ, being a white man in their image, to make him look like a Norseman. Okay? So it says 1968. He was born in 1892 and lived until 1968. He was an American painter from Chicago, best known for his works for Christian religious imagery. All right. It says he worked in commercial advertising as well as in freelance illustration. He is most associated with his portrait of Jesus, head of Christ, of which more than 500 million copies have been sold. 500 million. All right. It's a cash grab.
Yeah, Khan. So let me see here. Let's go back to the Britannica. You need a charger or not? Okay. So going back to this, it talks about the history of the Borgia family as well in its totality. So it says here, just had it. Just had it. It talked about the family being very ruthless and they're known for their treachery. I just had the other article. It says Borgia, Britannica. Slovakia, let me get that. There we go. All right, so it says Borgia, the Borgia family, descendants of a noble line originally from Valencia, Spain, that established roots in Italy and became prominent in ecclesiastical and political affairs in the 1400s and 1500s. Now, the House of the Borgias produced 2 popes and many other political and church leaders. Some members of the family became known for their treachery. All right, and that the treachery talks about, deceits and deception, and talking about betraying people and actually doing much evil in the earth. And that goes back to the line of Esau, because they're operating in the spirit of their family, which is Esau, Edom. It says 4 Borgias became especially noteworthy in a historical sense. Alfonso de Borgia established the family's influence in Italy and became pope, which is crazy because this was a secularized family. This was not a religious family. It says Rodrigo Borgia became a cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, and later, 1492, Pope Alexander VI. As cardinal and pope, Rodrigo fathered a number of children by his mistress, Venosa Cantanay, and Cesare Borgia, son of Rodrigo, achieved political power while ruthlessly attempting to establish a secular kingdom in central Italy. So if these people were evil and they were not operating in the spirit of the Lord, because they wanted to go by their own endeavors and they wanted to create a secular kingdom. They were not looking to follow the word of the Lord. And this is who these people use as the image of our Lord, which is Yahawashi. That's a false image, because the Lord is not secular. He's not of this world. Okay, and we are not of this world. So that adds on a little bit more to the evils of these people, man, using that image. Let me get the scripture.
Yeah, that guy Warner Salmon, he was full of shit. Completely full of shit.
Got some stuff on that guy?
Yeah, well, he was in the 1900s. I'm trying to look at when they first placed the Lord on there. Let me get this guy out of here. Ban that user. Get your ass out of here. All right. Delete that shit.
So John 15. Go there. This is John chapter 15, verse 19. It says, if ye were of the world will love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. And when you talk about secular means world beliefs, like the spirit of being a Greek, the spirit of being a Roman. You're accepting those things of the world that are against the Heavenly Father. And that's why it was such an egregious thing for Ptolemy to declare that if any of the Jews continue to participate in their faith, they would be killed, because they're the wicked. And that's the same spirit that carried on 1,500 years later within these people. And they're still doing it now to this day. They don't want the Israelites to come back into their heritage. And I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 83, because this is a part of a crafty counsel of the wicked, which they came up as a device to destroy the nation of Israel as a whole. This is Psalm chapter 83, verse 2. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And that speaks to the other nations, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites. All the other nations have consulted against the Israelites and the Lord and the Lord's people. It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people. That means they did stuff in the dark to try to put us down and try to, keep us in a low state, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Go ahead, brother.
Real quick, you see this devil?
You can put it a little closer.
So this is Leonardo's
depiction.
This is Leonardo da Vinci's portrait of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
In 1500, that sold for or I think it was 500 million or 150 million dollars right here.
That looks like the goddamn Mona Lisa, man.
Yup. So this is the portrait of Jesus that Leonardo da Vinci had made. So you know he was a what?
Goddamn Mo, man.
You know he was a mark. I mean, he was a damn a demon. You know what I mean? Faggot. So that is crazy. He doesn't even have a beard on his face. You know, it's true mockery. And this whole doing
Like
this.
from the image where
What the hell's this doing shit? What's that shit? Throwing up gang signs? Holding a globe in his hand?
well, I just read the scripture.
450 million it sold for. And for the 1500 painting of Jesus Christ, Leonardo da Vinci portrait.
Mm.
It's still around today.
And that's how our people see the Lord. And that, again, that's one of the tricks of the devil. It allows them to just be beguiled. And this is why a lot of our people, or a lot of Israelites, go to other gods. They don't believe that guy's their God, but they'll go serve Islam, and they'll become Buddhists and all this shit, and it desecrates the word of the Lord, man. Our people are given unto idols. But we go back to Psalm 83. In verse 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And images like that, which the brother just showed, it leads to confusion for our people. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And the name of Israel includes the scriptures and the truth of that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and they're the true and only begotten people of the Heavenly Father. We as a nation forgot that, and that was through, chattel slavery. It was also through, the conquering. They did stuff like the Trail of Tears. They made sure that they separated the Native Americans from their land, the rape, robbing, murdering, and pillaging, stealing all of our land.
Artifacts. Yep.
Artifacts, they broke the commandments by desecrating and removing the landmarks, right?
Yeah, that's against the scriptures. So how are you going to come in the name of the Lord and talk about this manifest destiny shit, when you ultimately are, removing landmarks? That's against the scriptures. But I got something real quick. This is Psalm 37:1. It says, a Psalm of David. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Okay, verse 3 says, trust in the Lord Yahawah and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. So ultimately, it's all about exposing these wicked devils, but don't be concerned too much with it, brothers. All right, as far as like you personally, because we're going to still talk about it. We're going to still talk about it, but we're not going to be down like, man, they doing all of this to us, man. We just can't get ahead and all this other stuff. You're not trying to get ahead. We're not trying to be a part of this world. What yacht party do you want to go to with the Fresh and Fit podcast? You think me and this brother want to go party with them guys?
No, man.
What do we have in common with them?
Yep.
Me and Myron would be arguing immediately over the scriptures. You give
and
me
he
2
wouldn't be
seconds
here
with
in a minute.
Myron, I'd be arguing with him, and I guarantee you I'd win, and he wouldn't like that.
Yeah, he'd kick you off the yacht.
Yeah, he'd be like, hey, look, man, I'm not here to debate religion or whatever. I'm like, well, I am here to debate religion, and I'm here to tell you that you were going off, all right? You're being a whoremonger, and the shit that you're doing is going way off. You said it's just okay for your woman to do OnlyFans or whatever as long as you control it. How the hell is that a good look? That's against the scriptures. And even when you damn Muslims, right, that'd be haram to you. Does an imam do that shit? Does he tell a girl she could do OnlyFans as long as he controls it? What kind of shit is this guy doing? See, that guy's a Greek. That guy's just a Greek Arab guy. You know what I mean? He's more than likely an Arab. I don't know.
But it goes back to what the scriptures say about the love of money is the root of all evil. And a lot of that stuff, like you said earlier in the video we did in the car, that those evils, the money, it leads to those evils. It leads to the women and the wine and the spirit of revelry coming in. And that stuff
like
chokes
that
the
devil
word.
said. And that, remember that movie 300? He
Hmm.
was like, money,
Money,
women,
women,
and most importantly, I want the uniform.
uniform. He wanted to be a full-fledged Persian, man. He wanted to be all in that.
He wanted to look like them guys because they were, money is looked at like, man, look, and they were trying to pay off. They were trying to pay off the king of Greece.
Hmm.
It's like, look, I will make you more wealthier than you've ever imagined. Everybody's gonna be dealing with you if you just fight with me. If you show allegiance to me, I'll make you the king of Greece.
Mm.
But you just report and bow down. I just need you to kneel to me.
Yeah. And you know,
So that guy could say, yo, the king of Greece knelt down to me.
yeah. And you know what's
That
crazy?
right there just couldn't. No, it's just like Maccabees.
Hmm.
Can you go to the Maccabees scripture in the Maccabees where he said, look, since we left the multitude of the heathen,
I was gonna get that too.
we just not doing well.
We've been sore grieved, I believe it says.
Yeah. Well, look, hey, look, we're not here to be comfortable. America is not a place where we just gonna thrive and do well. That's where we happen to reside right now. Us brethren, you know what I'm saying? We up in the up northeast. We reside in the northeast of America, but this is not our rest, man. We're working diligently to enter into that rest of the Lord. And that's gonna be, when this place is dissolved and destroyed. All right.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. It says, in those days, when they're out of Israel, wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Yep.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. So they went into the way of the heathen, completely going against Jeremiah 10:2.
Yeah, and those places of exercise, are wicked.
Mm-hmm.
That's where there's nothing but homosexuality out
Mm-hmm.
there. There's a bunch of naked looking people showing their bodies off to other people, which breeds adultery and also homosexuality. So
Mm-hmm.
those gyms, I don't even go to the gym no more. I used to go to gyms or whatever. Look, if you have no other equipment or whatever, you don't have, but slowly start getting the equipment at your own house, man. If you can. That's just my advice. Stay out of there anyways, because when you go over there, there's always a temptation. There's always some dumb biddy walking around, or some
Asses
grandma,
out.
or some old Edomite looking at you funny. You know what I mean? These guys getting naked in the back in the shower room.
They be doing that all the time, man.
Naked, bro. Naked. You walk into the back to go get your clothes out of the thing, and there's some old man with his snivelly little penis.
It's always some old cracker, man.
And he don't care, man. And he just sitting over there, a cracker devil. I like saying a cracker devil. The old cracker devil sitting over there with his pee-pee out, with his little 1-inch pee-pee. And he's just sitting over there looking at you. And you're just like, yo, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is your problem, B?
Shit's
Like,
crazy.
You can't just wait till you get to your crib to go take a shower. You didn't even work out that hard, B.
You can literally just wrap a towel around yourself. You don't even got to show the world your junk.
You don't even, you ain't even doing work like that, son. You ain't putting in work like that. What are you getting naked in front of everybody for? Because you're homosexual. See what I'm saying? But anyway, keep going.
It's verse 15, First Maccabees 1:15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
Right. Now, when this says it made themselves uncircumcised, it's not talking about they put their foreskin back on. It means that they threw away the scriptures.
They forsook the law.
They said, look, man, we ain't even going to follow the Bible no more. We're just going to go and do this. They repented basically of the scriptures and the holy scriptures and the ways of the Lord. They said, we're not going to follow this no more because the money's at this way. The money in the chicks is what being Alpha, Beta, Chi Greeks. We're going to go into sorority or what they call
fraternities.
We're going to go to the fraternities and we're going to be with them because they got money, they got women, and more importantly, and one last thing, I want the uniform. They wanted the uniform to really, uniform is an actual powerful word too.
Yeah. That's it goes back to conformation together. They want all is one. That uni means one and form
Yeah.
means the same. So they want to be all
Damn,
in the
brother.
same with the heathen.
You stole my thunder real fast, man.
Salaki, but
You just broke down. I was about to go into the word. He's just like, nah, man.
I
I ain't
thought
gonna
you was
let
throwing
you.
an alley-oop
I ain't
pass,
gonna let
man.
you get it. Nah, but no, he's right. I mean, it says here. I'm just messing around anyway. So it's a uniform adjective. Um, so it says late 15th century, having always the same form,
Mm.
unvarying informal character, uniform, uniform in French, 14th century. This is the etymology of the word uniform. Uni, forma. So it says uni, one, forma, form, one form. That's what uniform means. So if you have a job, you have a uniform, you gonna be dressed like me, I'm gonna be dressed like you, even though we different people, but we just look the same. We all have one way. So they left the ways of the heathen, excuse me, they left the ways of the Lord and joined the ways of the heathen to get money, women, and like I was keep be busting on this guy in 300, the movie. I want a uniform. They want to be like
Want to be a part of something.
everybody else. That's being a Greek. That's why the Jews were calling them Greeks over there in you know in the book of Maccabees, first Maccabees, second Maccabees, which was deleted and taken out, extrapolated out of the authorized King James Version Bible in 1611, conveniently around the same time that the slaves, the so-called black man, was taken out of slavery and was able to go read now and be a regular man. They took out the scriptures that talked about things like this. That's when all of a sudden it dawned on them.
Mm.
It's not canonical no more. The authorized King James Version Bible, the Apocrypha, the hidden writings, which was taken out. Again, I got to go into that research now. I'm about to actually research it right now. Let's get it. That's why we're doing this now. That's why we're doing this video right now. Like this. So we could go into deep study. All right. So yeah, uniform. So go ahead and keep going with that scripture though.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1, read verse 15, verse 13 again. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. So they did that in the holy city, was abominable, man. And made themselves uncircumcised, which means they forgot the laws and forsook the laws of the Lord, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. And the word mischief goes back to evil, those things that are not seemly of the Lord. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. And this is going into something completely off, so I'm not going to read that.
Yeah, no, you good. So basically, there was a certain part of men who were Israelites that did not want to leave the company of the heathen. And conveniently, that's the same way now. They put away the ways of the Lord, Yahawah, Bashem, Yahawashi, and went into the ways of the heathen. They wanted the money, they wanted the victuals, they wanted the things that they were getting in that society. Okay. Now, in the Apocrypha, which was removed in 1804, conveniently, and I'm gonna give the reason what they said over here, which is complete bullshit. But I'm gonna go into who did it. But the recently, emancipation and slavery was removed in January 1st, 1863 was the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. In December 1865 was the official, where it says the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified on December 6th, 1865, officially ending slavery in the United States.
That was after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
That was after, yeah, because it was 1863. Well, 1863 was his
The Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah. He was
the
assassinated in
Proclamation was
1865.
1863. So 1863, Emancipation Proclamation. 1865 was the formally the end of slavery. All right. And then remember, the Apocrypha was removed from the Bibles conveniently before slaves were allowed to read. Before slaves were allowed to read. So the version you black people, so-called, and Hispanic and Native American were given was a false version. The reason why is because you don't want to know that you used to be called Greeks, that the same exact thing happened. Where you were told what to be. You were told you're Toby. Your name is Toby. All right?
I got something, bro.
You were told who you were going to be. Go.
I got something, bro, if I may. This is, I'm good?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is First Maccabees 1:40, a little bit on down. It says, as had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. That's talking about Israel. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. So that goes back to that concept of being uniform. All right, and being one, like we said. And the Greeks, like everybody being a Greek, a part of that Greek kingdom. He says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, and set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. All these things. Now to the point, go down to verse 49. It says to the end that they might
go straight to the point. I'm saying.
Yeah. I was just trying to go through some of the history of what they wanted the Israelites to do in lieu of.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but the people who watch, they have like a minute span of attention span. That's why you got to go straight to the point. Go ahead.
This is verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. There
you go. So that'll simplify everything. You could talk about it yourself and then go straight to the point. Jake will get it better. You know what I'm saying? Because Jake is so simple. All that you just said, all they got was the last thing. They forgot all that already. All right. So I wanted to go into the Westminster Confession of Faith. So these people, originally published in 1647, were the people who were proponents to try to remove the Apocrypha, ultimately calling them not canonical. All right. So it says, let me go to this here. So I looked up something, and I looked up Apocrypha. So it says Apocrypha removal date. The Apocrypha was removed from English Bibles in 1804 by the British and Foreign Bible Society. Who the hell are these people? Who the F are these people? All right. King James already had that for 200 years. Everywhere, even the Geneva Bible of 1560 included the Apocrypha. The Bishop's Bible in 1568 included the Apocrypha, which literally is the works in between the Old and the New Testament, which means a complete work. Because in between the Old and New Testament is a missing kingdom. There's a missing kingdom over there. Guess what kingdom that is?
Kingdom of the Grecians.
Let's get me Daniel, the 8th chapter, where it breaks down. And the second beast was the kingdom of the Greek, or the third beast was the kingdom of Grecia, the king of Grecia. And it tells you specifically All right? And
Daniel
that's when
7,
people
right?
were conformed and things were changed. The name of the Lord Yahawashi was changed during this time period. Of course it was relevant, man. Or excuse me, the Israelites were called Greeks during this time period, and made that's the biggest point in the contention in the Bible between so-called Christians, apologists, and the Israelites of today, the Hebrew Israelites today, that they think that everybody can be saved, and the reason why they do is the confusion based on removing the Apocrypha conveniently that was done before slavery, all right, was abolished, because you were going to read about that, and you were going to know that, hey, wait a minute, we're being told what to believe, and we're being told who we are, and we're just agreeing with it under threat of death and all of this shit. We got to do our own research. Go ahead.
So Daniel chapter 8.
Yep. Look at Grecian.
All right, this is Daniel chapter 8, verse 21. And it
Go a
reads, it
little
says, in
before
the
that.
rough.
So it's going to break down the whole thing.
Yeah, with the goat. All right,
Yeah,
this
but
is
even before that, get all of them so they know all of them.
all right. So I'm gonna start at
Go over all the kingdoms one at a time. You know.
okay, so that's in Daniel 7.
Salakia. So go to Daniel 7 first, and then the interpretation of that vision.
All right, this is
It's a
Daniel
night vision.
chapter 7. You want me to start at the Grecians, or you want to go?
Yeah, no, go through the whole thing, because then we're going to go through, why
Come.
it's a timeline,
All right, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. And Daniel spake and said, I saw my visions by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, one diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth.
Brother, you got to break that down.
Yeah, I thought you were breaking it down. That's why I kept reading.
No, you could go ahead with it, because I'm going to go to Daniel 8 and 15, the interpretation of the vision after that. But go ahead.
All right, Khan. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 4 again. It says, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. That's speaking of the Babylonian Empire. That's the symbol of it. It says, I beheld the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth. So it eventually fell and made up to stand up as a man, and a man's heart was given to it, because it was a very wise kingdom. All right, the Lord imparted upon them not wisdom of the Lord, but that type of wisdom in that time. And behold, another beast as a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself on one side. And that's the second kingdom, which is the kingdom of the Persians and the Medes, the Medo-Persian Empire. And it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. So I believe it's because they conquered Babylon, Egypt, and what was the third one? Was it Lystra?
Lystra, Lydia.
So it conquered Lydia, Egypt, and Babylon. Those are the three ribs. And between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. It says, after this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. Now, this is speaking of the Grecians, the kingdom of the Grecians. And the leopard, represents Alexander the Great, because I believe the brother says that he wore a leopard skin on his head. So that history must document that. It says, which had upon its back, on the back of it, four wings of a fowl. The beast also had four heads, and dominion was given unto it. Now, the four heads represents the four generals that the Grecian kingdom was actually imparted to, because Alexander the Great, once he died, he did not have a posterity, which is a son, and he passed it on to his four generals, which was Cassander, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Antiochus. So those four generals were, that's where the evils were greatly multiplied in the earth, which is talked about in First Maccabees chapter 1.
Now you could simplify all that just by saying, the four horns were just Alexander's generals.
Yeah.
That's all you got. That's all you got to say. All that other extra stuff, Jake is just falling asleep. I mean, that's how Jake is. That's why when you do these breakdowns, we gotta be quick to the point, keep it real simple, because this, what I mean. They're not. A lot of Jake don't even give a shit about this. To be honest with you, they don't give a shit about none of this, man. Which, look, I don't care if you don't, man. I don't care if there's 2 or 3 people watching. I could give a damn.
It's for the elect, man.
Preach the word. You're going to get the word of the Lord, or you're not. All right. Now we're going to go to Daniel. Or matter of fact, keep going, because there's one more kingdom.
Yep. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it speaks to the Roman Empire. It says, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, because it was a ruthless empire, more ruthless than the other beasts. It says, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Now that speaks to now, because Babylon the Great, which is America, is a part of that Roman Empire, which is now a modernized version of that, which is a mix. Yep, just basically America is the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. That's the little horn.
All you got to say. Yeah. Because Jake is bugged out, and they're not going to even care about nothing you talking about like that. Right? That's how regular folk understand it. When we're dealing with Jake, you know what I'm saying?
You see here. So we're going to go to the little horn, right?
Well, now we're going to go to
Daniel 8.
We're going to go to Daniel 8 and start at around like the 3rd verse or so. So when it says King of Belshazzar, it's when it says in the 3rd year of reign of King Belshazzar, right, of Babylon. He was the king of Babylon. The 1st year of his reign, and this is important to the prophecies of Yahawashi. Okay. The 1st year of his reign was 556 BC. So the 3rd year of his reign would be what time, brother?
553.
No, it'd be 559. Or 553, correct. 553, correct. Yeah, because we're counting backwards. We're going down to what? To Yahawashi. So 553 BC is the time period that he's going to speak on right now. Go ahead.
All right, so in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
All right, now hold on. Now, so 553 BC, Belshazzar is the king of Babylon. All right, the king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Neo-Babylonian Empire, because later on, this Babylon was going to fall. All right, and his father ruled from 556 to 539. Excuse me. He was a co-regent with his father, Nabonidus, who ruled around 556 to 539. So go ahead.
And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram that had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other. And the higher came up last. So you going to break that down, brother?
Hold on. Where are you reading out of?
I'm reading Daniel 8 and 3.
Okay, so you were at Daniel 8 and 1, right? The reign of King Belshazzar, the vision that appeared unto me, even unto Daniel, after which appeared unto me at the first. So this scripture and all this is going to get broken down in 8:15. So it's going to break it down, the vision. It's going to plainly speak about what the vision means. So go back to Daniel 2 And now bear in mind, brothers who are listening right now, the scriptures are going to break themselves down later on. So even though he's breaking down a vision that he's seeing, he's going to show you what's going on. Go ahead.
You said go down to Daniel 2, or are you talking about Daniel 8 and 2?
8 and 2. Daniel 8 and 2 again.
Okay.
Just try to be fast about it.
All right, this is Daniel 8 and 2. This is, and I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
All right, now real quick, it's going to break it down, but that is talking about the Medo-Persian Empire. And the one ram horn that's higher was the Persian Empire, because it was greater and bigger and more vast than the Medes. It was the Medes and the Persians, but the reason why that horn was bigger was the Persian Empire was much bigger and much more vast than the Empire, Medio Empire. Go ahead.
All right, so verse 4,
Verse
this
3.
is Daniel 8 and 4. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. And
now, real quick. So it mentioned westward. That's the kingdom of what?
Westward would be the kingdom. Lystra.
No.
Lydia.
Actually, no. It would actually be the one that southward would be Egypt.
Egypt,
right?
Yep. And then the other one would be Babylon. That would be eastward.
That would be northward.
Northward?
Yep.
Okay. And then the other one would be Lydia.
Yeah, westward all the way to the west is Lydia, because that goes around Spain.
Mm-hmm.
That's farther west than Egypt.
And Egypt is south.
Egypt is definitely southward, and then northward would be right in the kingdom of Elam around there, which is basically north of Israel, which would be in modern day Iraq, which is around
Babylon.
That's north of Israel. All right, go ahead.
So that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great, which is spiritual, because that's speaking of Alexander the Great.
No, that's actually speaking about excuse me, because it said I lifted up mine eyes and saw, behold, there stood before me a river, a ram with 2 horns.
Oh,
I saw the
that's
ram
that's
pushing
later.
westward.
Yeah,
so that was actually talking about Cyrus the Great.
Cyrus Khan.
The Great, because he was also named the Great.
That is true.
Cyrus the Great. All
He
right,
came later. All right, so in this verse 5, and as I was considering, behold, and a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Right, now that there is definitely talking about a big goat, which was Alexander, because he was fast and he was strong and he was young and powerful. And if you know, goats, they are fast as hell and they have very agile and they're very powerful, man.
Mm-hmm. And he
He had a single horn, meaning he had one empire, unified empire, who was not playing.
Yeah, he wasn't split off like the ram.
Yep.
All right, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power.
Yep.
And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. So he destroyed that Medo-Persian empire. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of the heaven.
Now, real quick, choler, that word, when he was moved with choler, it was vexation or bitterness. That's what that word means. When it says the ram, or excuse me, the he goat, moved with cooler against him, I saw it come close unto the ram, talking about the Alexander's empire. Well, Alexander himself was going towards the Medes and the Persians, and he was pissed off. He was bitter. And he was really bitter because the way that they conquered the kingdom of the Greeks, he didn't like that shit. He didn't like that shit at all. And he wanted revenge because his father was into the thoughts of the Greeks and the way that Macedon, Philip of Macedon took on, he was right north of the kingdom of the Greeks, the Grecians. And ultimately before, the actual Greece. So he took it a step further and ultimately adopted those. See, this is all that nerdy stuff. People are going to probably tune out. That's when they tune out, when you actually start explaining things. But I don't give a shit. So anyway, ultimately, he took the patterns of the Grecians and he really wanted to get revenge for what happened with King Leonidas. You know what I mean? And the fact that the Persians conquered Greece, they were pissed. So what happened at the Battle of Thermopylae? That's written of in the book of, I think it was not Aristotle. Was it Aristotle? I believe it was, actually. Aristotle was the guy who recorded.
No, that was Homer.
No, it was Aristotle.
What are you looking for?
The book of Aristotle goes into the histories. The father of Herodotus, I think it was Herodotus, matter of fact. Who's the father of history?
It's Herodotus.
I think that's who it is.
Father of history.
Of the Battle of Thermopylae. Herodotus. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Salakia. So it's Herodotus. So yeah, Herodotus was a Greek historian, considered the father of history for his account of the Battle of Thermopylae in his book Histories, which I have. And it goes into a lot of politics and everything like that. But yeah, this was pre-Alexander the Great. Pre-Alexander the Great. All right. And that's why he wanted revenge to go and had bitterness towards the kingdom of the Persians. Now, I know that's a bunch of gobbledygook to a lot of people who just want to see us cuss out the white man. I know you came and tuned in. A lot of you guys just tune in for us to call the white man the devil. But the scriptures and the breakdowns and the volume of the book is much bigger and more vast than just calling the so-called white man the devil, all right? Straight up, which he is a deceiver. And he is the so-called white man. He's really the Edomites. But that's just not the context of this here. So we're talking about the reason of the ram being with the one horn bigger than the other. It represents the Persian Empire in Daniel, the 8th chapter, verse 7. And then the smaller horn of that ram represents the Medes. Okay, the bigger horn, again, Persians, smaller horn, the Medes. And then that he-goat that came from the west ultimately came and smashed them and killed them, okay? And that's what it was about, all right? And he was bitter because of the Battle of Thermopylae and all of that good stuff. And remember, Alexander conquered a lot of those kingdoms first and then came for Persia specifically, which is in modern-day Iran. All right, so now we could go to Daniel 8 again.
Yep. We got to continue verse 9.
Yep.
All right. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host, which is an army, was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. All right, so this is going to be the interpretation of the dream in Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass, even when I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me a man as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and it fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. It says, now as he was speaking with me, I was in the deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. All right, so it says, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, which is Alexander. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, Alexander. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So that's the splitting off into the from the four generals. It says, in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper in practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And I believe that's the decree of Ptolemy, because he was the one that brought about those laws to bring the Israelites to subjection unto their rule.
It's really talking about Antiochus Epiphanes.
Antiochus Epiphanes, the fourth? Okay.
I believe, but it says, yeah, the latter time of their kingdom, which Antiochus Epiphanes was in that kingdom, because he was a piece of trash as well.
Yeah, because it talks about him in the first Maccabees, chapter 1.
He was the worst of the worst, you know. But we could go into him too, you know, man.
Let's see here. So Antiochus Epiphanes.
Yeah, he was a real piece of shit, you know.
We read Daniel 8 and 24 again. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper in practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people, the Israelites. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So the prince of princes, that's ultimately the Lord, Yahawashi.
Well, ultimately what they're talking about here is they're really talking about in the latter time of their kingdom, because the kingdom of the Grecians ultimately translated into the kingdom of the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same king. It's the same people. All right. It's not making a distinction between the last two kingdoms, but the Grecians and the Romans are the same people. That's why they got the same God. The same exact people.
Yeah.
They got the same multiplicity of gods.
Like Zeus is Jupiter, Mars, Aries, it's all the same. They just changed the names.
Exactly. Right. They have the same exact multiplicity of gods. So you have a large number of gods, which is facts. I mean, they got Hermes and, you know, the god of commerce and whatnot. And
Hermes is Mercury. Yep. And Mercury goes back to that word merchandise.
They got Zeus. Yeah, it is back to the word merchandise. They got Zeus, which is really Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they have Bacchus in Rome, which is basically Dionysus. All right. The god of wine and celebrations, which basically, you know, America's filled with these gods. If you go look at the ancient Greek mythology, it's the same exact spirit that's in America. It's the same shit. All right?
They just don't put those names to it. It's just the same philosophies.
They're just more wrathful. See, the Romans were a more wrathful version of the Grecians. The Grecians were kind of more thinkers and shit like that. You know what I mean? They were more
Philosophers.
You know, and philosophers and more into that type of stuff. And then they just went completely beast mode. Matter of fact, they were killing each other. A lot of the Caesars and stuff, they had a very short reign. That's why the one that reigned the longest was for 40 years. That was Augustus Caesar, which is King Octavius Augustus Caesar, where it says that the second king shall reign longer than all the other ones, which is really talking about the Caesars. But he was the first emperor of Rome. King Gaius Octavius Augustus Caesar, also known as Octavian, which is basically he was a mercenary, but really he was a general king. He turned into a king and then an emperor. You know, he was the second Caesar, which is part of the 12 kings that should reign, longer than all the other ones.
All the others, right?
Right. But he was the first emperor, but he was the second king, the second Caesar after Julius Caesar, his uncle on his mother's side.
Yeah, I was going to say also, like, you know, the reason why the Grecians and the Romans are, you know, is one and the same is because it's still ruled by the Edomites.
Right. So they're technically part of the goat pretty much. In so much, you know, in that respect. So yeah, so it says in verse 8 and 25, it says, Daniel 8 and 25, and through his policy also shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And I think that might be talking about Tiberius Caesar. I got to go back and do some research on Tiberius Caesar, but I know he definitely stood up to Yahawashi. He definitely went up to him, the prince of princes, and that's capitalized, but he shall be broken without hand. So I got to look at the death of Tiberius Caesar.
The precept goes to in the interlinear goes to in the cross reference goes to Revelation 19:16. It says, and he had
his stepfather Augustus is the first Roman emperor. Tiberius was born in 42 BC to Roman politician Tiberius. Okay, Claudius Nero and his wife. All right, 38 BC, Tiberius' mother. Okay, whatever. So his death he was at 77 years old. He died in Italy. And he was born 42 BC, and he died 37 AD. So right after the Lord Yahawashi was killed, obviously this guy had the authorization to stop it, and he did nothing about it. So he was killed. I just want to know the manner in which he died. Was Tiberius killed? Was Tiberius Caesar assassinated? So, death of the emperor. So it says Tiberius met his own end, racked with disease and commanding little loyalty from his household. He took bed after injuring himself in a javelin throwing. Shit, it just didn't even continue this here. Okay. So it says the position of emperor was in many ways. This is landmarkevents.org. So it says the position of emperor was in many ways as thankless a post as it was supremely empowering. This is the same model that they follow here in America too, because their average span of rulership was like about 4 years roundabout.
4 years, 4 to 8,
like the presidents here.
right?
The position of, listen close, the position of emperor was in many ways as thankless a post as it was supremely empowering. These three Caesars, Julius, Augustus, and Tiberius, were the first three emperors of Rome, and in many ways they established a role of jurisdiction and precedence and precedence, and they were more successful and respected than any of their successors. 43 and approximately 70 Roman emperors died violently. 37 of them were targeted by assassination. But in the time of Augustus and Tiberius, law and order was effectively maintained, as was religious awe, for they defied state, and nearly ornamental Roman Senate became their constant foil. In Plutarch's words, the Romans made Caesar dictator for life, and the hope that the government of a single person would give them time to breathe after many civil wars and calamities. This was indeed a tyranny avowed, since his power was not only absolute, but perpetual too. So yeah, they really wanted to put an end to that and have elections and stuff, which again is just not, that's not a good thing, you know? You don't want the people to decide that. They don't have the knowledge to decide who can rule over them. Henceforth, when they got elections where they're voting for women, they're voting for Edomites, our people are simple as hell. So it says Tiberius' training to become emperor began in childhood, and considering the times and conditions, he could not have hoped for a better tutor. His stepfather Augustus was wise even in his ruthlessness. See, you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
Go back to Daniel. Go back to Daniel 8, because I think we just got the knowledge here.
8 and 25, right?
Yeah, go ahead and read that real quick.
This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
Yo, you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Salakia.
Can we read again?
No, not that one. When it says that great wisdom shall be given to him, he'd be wise.
Okay, yeah, it's a little farther up. Hold on. Continents. Wise. A lot of times.
No, it's right there. Daniel 8 and 22.
All right. So this is Daniel chapter 8, verse 22. Now that being
Excuse me, verse 8 and 23. My bad.
All right. So this is Daniel 8 and 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Exactly. Now, it's got to be this guy because he was literally ruthless. So it says Tiberius, which is the stepson of Augustus Caesar, which is the first emperor of Rome, the one who fully unified these guys into the full conquering of Ptolemy's empire, right? Because remember, the first triumvirate of Rome was mildly successful with the first Caesar, but the second triumvirate of Rome with Augustus Caesar was fully responsible for the bringing down of Egypt, which is still part of the Ptolemaic Empire. Okay, he fully wiped their ass out completely, flatlined their ass, 100%. See, the first triumvirate led by Julius Caesar, he didn't really have all the organization and the fullness of the people behind him as a whole. But Augustus Caesar, he took it a step further. So again, let's go to this excerpt. It says, Tiberius' training to become emperor began in childhood, and considering the times and conditions, he could not have hoped for a better tutor. His stepfather, Augustus Caesar, which is Octavian, was wise even in his ruthlessness, a measured man who fully established Rome as the pinnacle of order for which is nowadays often praised. It was under him that a first consensus was taken by the inhabitants of the Roman Empire. And in the Gospel of Luke, we find that to be the case, to be the cause Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem, where Yahawashi Hamashiach was born in a stable as prophesied. So that guy was ultimately a piece of garbage. All right. So that's just a little bit of knowledge right there, but I believe that might be talking about him. You know, in the latter time of their kingdom, Daniel 8:23, it says, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and in his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully. That means he unified, he destroyed 100% all of those that, Caesar did not destroy. And he shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. And that's again why, they had to run to Bethlehem and whatnot, And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. All right. So that's powerful. So, again, it is talking about a Caesar. It doesn't mention him, but it's talking about a Caesar. And again, it could be like I said, Augustus or Tiberius, because they're the ones who lived during that time frame. Augustus was definitely there until about 17 AD. That's when he died. I believe it was 40. I think he reigned for 40 years. Let me look it up. Reign dates. Okay, so yeah, he reigned from 44 BC to 27. Oh, excuse me, that's Julius. My bad. So he reigned from 27 BC to 14 AD, a total of 40 years. So when Yahawashi was about 17 years old. All right. So he reigned until Yahawashi was about 17. So yeah, he was messing around.
Said 14 AD?
No, 27 BC to 14 AD.
Yeah. So Yahawashi was 14.
Yeah, 40 years. Excuse me. Yep, correct. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, 14. Yeah, he was about 14 years old. That's right. Yahawashi was 14. Yep. Which is powerful. And that's the reason why it's important too to understand, Daniel, when it says in the third year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, right? It's telling you in the third year reign of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, you know exactly when that was. And that was 553 BC. And then Daniel had certain visions, and he saw the fall of that king Belshazzar, because he literally shortly died thereafter and got conquered. You know what I'm saying? And he saw the kingdom of Cyrus conquer Belshazzar, take his ass out. Conquer his kingdom. So yeah, that was powerful, man. And that again, now that the kingdom there, and we're bringing this all out because ultimately, brothers, the Apocrypha was taken out of the Bible, which contains the kingdom of Grecia. Mm-hmm. That's what we were originally talking about, the goat. We ain't talking about LL Cool J. And we definitely ain't talking about no Michael Jordan. And we ain't talking about John Jones. We're talking about the kingdom of the Grecians, which is Alexander the Great. All right? Daniel 8:21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
It's Alexander.
Right. Alexander. Now that being broken, so when he died, whereas 4 stood up for it. So they stood up in his place and say, look, we'll keep this thing going. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, not in his power, not in his time. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when their transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And again, that's why I don't believe that's Antiochus Epiphanes, even though he is a demon. Like I said,
It's well after that, because that's during. If you look according to the precepts, that's during the Roman Empire, so it can't be Antiochus Epiphanes.
Right. Okay. You were looking at the precepts?
Yeah.
What you got in there for that?
All right. So in the interlinear, not interlinear, cross references in the blue letter, it goes to, I believe it's Revelation chapter 17. And I was looking through the red Bible, but it takes you back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50. If you want to look that up.
Deuteronomy what?
28 and 50. It goes to the curses.
Yeah, it says, a nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely that.
It's the Roman Empire.
That's definitely the Roman Empire, because they did not allow the worship of Israelites with their gods. And again, it doesn't mention specific, but there were a few of them. But yeah, so it says here, understanding dark sentences, Daniel 11 and 21. It says, and in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Okay, I believe that's something else. In 11:24, he shall enter peaceably even at the fattest places of the province. He shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil riches, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. All right. Now I know Daniel 11 is speaking about you know what? It might be Epiphanes, because shall stand up a vile person. That is Daniel 11 is talking about that kingdom in that time period of the didactic wars and the diadochi. And again, they are the same people, but he just didn't live. Epiphanes, Antiochus Epiphanes. Let me look him up. There it is. This piece of trash. 164 BC, Antiochus Epiphanes, the Bible's most notoriously forgotten villain. Yeah, so he ruled in the Seleucid Empire from 175 until his death in 164 BC. Now, bear in mind, remember this, right? It says in 167 BC times, that's when Maccabees lived during the times of Antiochus Epiphanes.
Mm-hmm.
So the Maccabees rededicated the temple. The Feast of Dedication was because they fought against the children of Esau, which is basically Antiochus Epiphanes' people. And if you look at this guy, he looks like a straight up devil. He looks like a so-called white man today.
Absolutely.
There's the bust of him right there. This is what he looks like.
I saw that same picture. Yep. They took his nose off and shit. Well, no, actually his nose is still. Oh, wait, no. The first one, his nose is gone.
Yeah, it's gone because,
that would give it away.
Yeah, they don't want to give away who hook-nosed devils they are. So it says, basically, so it says, in seeking to prohibit Judaism and Hellenize the Jews, Antiochus forbade their religious practices and commanded that copies of the law be burned, all of which is related by Josephus in the Antiquities of the Jews, the 13th book, or excuse me, the 12th book. So that's why it's very important that is talked about. So it says, today's Antiochus isn't a household name for two main reasons. First, the biblical books that mention him by name as First and Second Maccabees are no longer present within the canons of the Jewish and Protestant Bibles.
Got him.
And second, in canonical book where it is mentioned, in the canonical book where it is mentioned, the book of Daniel, it is not by name. So yeah, it's him. It's him, bro. Definitely him. Salakia. So it's Antiochus Epiphanes. That's that guy.
He was
the evil in the latter time of that kingdom. Antiochus Epiphanes was the most wickedest piece of shit of all time. And he was
Well, yeah,
part of
because
the
it goes
Seleucid
when it
Empire.
says, and through his policies, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart.
Yep. That's definitely him. That is absolutely him. Because he basically made it so that, you know, you could not worship the Lord anymore. You know?
And remember, it says during the, because it's talking about the goat, so it's during that same kingdom, which is
Right.
the kingdom of the Grecians.
Absolutely. Yeah, so during the kingdom of the Grecians, Antiochus Epiphanes was the most notoriously forgotten villain
And it also
in,
says
in
in
the
the
Bible.
latter time of their kingdom, because he was one of the last rulers of the Grecian kingdom.
Exactly.
So that would definitely make sense as to that being Antiochus Epiphanes
Correct. So
rather
yes,
than Ptolemy,
so
because
we
he ruled
stand
after him.
corrected. So we do stand corrected, and ultimately naming off Augustus Caesar as the most. He was a ruthless villain himself,
Well,
and he did quiet certain parts of the kingdom. And now the reason why where we got that mixed up is the time of Yahawashi and everything like that. But bear in mind, these are the same people, and they all is part of the same kingdom ultimately. All right. Even though in the scriptures it talks about, you know, the last one being more fierce than the next one, they are the same people with two different kingdoms. I just want to make that clear. They're the same people, two different kingdoms of those people. All right. The Greeks and the Romans, same people, Edomites. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up right there, brothers, because I gotta handle something. So, you know, hey, Lord willing, this was an edifying thing here. You know, remember to make your names great, brothers. You got to keep a good name, like Mary when she anointed the Lord Yahawashi for burial. Part of that name and is your reputation and what you stand for. And it's important to push the word of the Lord as much as possible. Magnify the name of the Lord. You know, because when this RFID microchip gets instituted, like the scriptures say, it's going to be basically mandated across the world, you know, in order to do business. It's not going to be mandated as if they're forced to do it. It's going to be voluntary. But a lot of these people who conform to the ways of the Grecians, the same way, calling themselves Greeks and following Greek philosophies and doctrines and not wanting to leave the manner of the heathen,
Yep.
those people are going to take the RFID microchip and ultimately be destroyed. That's their fate.
Because
That's
they're the
your fate.
same people coming back in the flesh, man. The incarnation.
That's your fate, man. You know. So with that, you know, hey, Lord willing, it's edifying again. We're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahawah,
Yahawah, Bahashem
Bahashem,
Yahawashi,
Yahawashi, Bahashem,
Amarakwadash,
Harakakwadash,
Shalom, and Abad Babal.
Baba Bo, Shalom.